Hello and welcome to the Journeys with PDA Coffee Chat podcast, where we seek community connection and co-regulation while chatting about all things PDA. Hello and welcome to Journeys with PDA Coffee Chat podcast. I'm Heather.
And I'm Kerissa, and we're so excited to have a special guest with us today. Sarah is here with us, and she's going to tell us about her experience and correlation with PDA. Sarah, go ahead and introduce yourself and let us know what you do and how you are associated with PDA.
Absolutely. And thank you both so much again for having me. It's really awesome to be here, an awesome community that you formed for support around PDA. I'm Sarah Mireles. I have a private practice where I see a lot of neurodivergent clients. And through my work experience, I've worked at all levels of care with autism, ADHD, OCD, OCPD. And through my work experience, I've really kind of niched down, and a lot of my clients are dealing with PDA. And I run a training program specifically for parents of PDA children. Well, neurodivergence, but PDA is a big component of that. I've worked at partial hospitalization, intensive outpatient. Now I'm in private practice, seeing clients, and have a training program for parents specifically on this topic. And just to late ADHD diagnosis myself, partner with OCD and autism, and just a lot of the struggles that I see parents dealing with and coming to me too, I have some personal experience with that at home as well.
So I am really curious to given your very extensive background, I'm so curious, how did you come across PDA? Like what happened where you were like, oh, PDA, people need some help? And like, how did you first come across it?
Yeah. So originally my early work experience involved a lot of OCD. So a lot of intense anxiety, and there's usually a lot of crossover with autism. And when you have a lot of crossover with autism, a lot of my clients, we're trying all the different types of behavioral modification, different therapy approaches that would work for maybe a neurotypical individual, were just not working. And there was a lot of demand avoidance. It's, every different schedule, routine, motivation tool we've used really wasn't moving the needle for some of these young adults and teens. Not just OCD related, there wasn't just a particular fear related, but it was like a demand avoidance of doing routine tasks that we really need for our health, like starting taking a shower, brushing teeth, just starting to get homework done, even leaving the house. When we know, okay, it wasn't OCD related, what else could it be? And it's this profile with the PDAers that really anything else we targeted wasn't working. So we needed to come up with a different approach. So it just really clarified and specialized my interest with working kind of with hard populations to be like, how can we get creative here? And how can we move the needle to find, not just relief for the individual, relief for parents as well, because you're living with a PDAer and they're not brushing their teeth or they're not starting their homework, but you're trying all of these different tools and nothing's working. We gotta reevaluate. And so I found that just very interesting.
So that's one of those things about PDA. And I think it's what leads people into this profile is when a person is struggling and you have a parent who is searching and trying, and like everyone I've talked to, they're like, I've tried everything and I don't know how to help my child. Or, even now adults. And so it's just that's like how everyone gets to PDA. They're like, nothing works. we're struggling and we don't know what to do. And then you find PDA and you're like, oh, okay. So there is more to this. So I'm so curious about a million things. So one of the things that I think is really interesting is OCD and PDA, and how you're talking about OCD is going to have some avoidance, right? But then there's PDA avoidance, so those are different. So I would love to hear a little bit about kind of that overlap of OCD and PDA and how they're same and different. And then, of course, we also want to know, what is it that you give to your parents to help bring their family back into peace?
So much to talk about here because there's so much overlap with what we see, and it's hard to suss out what is what. What are we dealing with? So with OCD, we look at, treatment, gold standard treatment for OCD would be what we call exposure response prevention therapy. But we know our individuals, our loved ones, are not completing tasks or getting started because of a pathological fear, an obsession. And we call it ego dystonic, meaning they really want to do the thing. They want to take out the trash. They want to brush their teeth, or they want to, turn in the email. But there's so much fear over what might happen or not happen to do that thing. So it could be like a perfectionism thing. Fear of not doing it 100% right. I'm just not going to do it at all. And there's so many themes within OCD. But what makes that different from like a pathological demand avoidance piece, it's the same in that there's a lot of feelings of shame and not wanting to do things incorrectly, but it's not driven by a core fear that something bad will happen per se. It's more like, I don't want to feel the shame related to doing the thing. I don't want to let people down. And with we see with the autism and PDA, and sometimes what we call OCPD, obsessive compulsive personality disorder, it's a little bit more ego syntonic, which is I can't do the thing because if I do and they turn in the email, it has to be 100% perfect because it's the right way to do things. And if I can't do it the right way, I'm not going to do it at all. I don't know if that's making sense. If that's
100%. Yes.
Yeah, it really is a great explanation, because we also hear a lot of parents who will say, well, can my child be PDA, ADHD, and OCD? Because it is kind of hard to figure out what is what and why, but I like how you explain sort of like that root cause that drives a person to do something or to not do something. So yes, that was a wonderful explanation.
Yeah. I also want to just add a piece too, another layer with when it comes to PDA and the overlap with autism, or sometimes the traits of OCPD, is that there is an automatic nervous system response that's stopping someone from doing something. And sometimes it's literally a nervous system biological threat response when someone feels like they're losing autonomy or authority over choice or over control, right? We all crave control, but sometimes with the PDAers or autism, it's sometimes when they feel like someone is asserting dominance or control, that their nervous system will perceive that as a threat and they'll shut down.
Yeah, and that's a good description of PDA. It's that nervous system response, which is why sometimes they will not do the thing that is so, critical to their well-being, or sometimes the things that they want to do. My daughter she'll say to me, if I tell her, which does not happen very often, but if I really do say, yeah, like I really need you to do this thing. Like I really need you to take out the bathroom garbage. She's like, well, now I can't because you told me to. And it's that loss of like her authority or power in that situation. So, which is why I would never say you have to do that right now, because it more like, kind of notice the bathroom's a little sketchy, and that's probably about all that I could say to like kind of let her be in control of that situation.
Totally.
Yep. And plus, with it being a nervous system response, there's the demand avoidance. It's also, the main reason why, behavior approaches don't work. Traditional parenting approaches don't work. So, you mentioned that you see a lot of this in your therapy work. How do you approach therapy with a family when you have a PDA in your family, and those traditional approaches they're missing the mark?
Excellent question, and that's exactly what I want to talk about, because there are so many approaches that have, tried and true parent approaches for therapy that just aren't doing it, and a lot of parents feel frustrated by that. A lot of it is a behavioral modification. Mm-hmm. But, there are kind of some newer approaches, kind of twists on old therapy approaches. I don't know how familiar you are. I'm going to say a lot of acronyms. Doesn't matter, that we don't need to know what it means, because I'm just going to try to simplify it. What we call DBT, dialectical behavioral therapy, and then adding what we call RODBT, radically open dialectical behavioral therapy, is more geared to that autism PDA profile. It's a pretty new approach for therapy, but the goal of it is to increase, well, one, just like the DBT, is to increase distress tolerance in response to change or situations out of our control. And distress tolerance, emotion regulation is a huge piece in the home that needs to be incorporated for things to actually get done. But it's adding these components like radical openness to change, and mental flexibility in response to change. And the whole premise, the thing behind RODBT, is keeping the personal value of the relationship dynamic between parent and teen or kid at the foundation and the center of everything. So if we're saying, okay, the teen's value is to have good, solid relationships with parent, then how do we need to shift our response, whether it be tone of voice, facial expression, whether that be, the response that keeps it open. Radical openness is a huge component of RODBT. And that helps us move from what we call like a fixed mindset of like, I can't or I won't, to, okay, what is there to learn here, right? Is there something I could learn? And there's lots of approaches from RODBT that can help us respond in a way that's more aligning towards our values. And then we're also using other aspects from like ACT therapy, ACT, and other approaches that helps move the needle for radical openness. So it's like, are we in fixed mind? Can we identify a fixed mindset? Can we question that? Is my behavior aligning with my values? And it's also contrary to what we might teach with ERP or other approaches where we just don't provide any accommodation. Sometimes for the PDA profile and the autism profile, we do need to be providing some type of accommodation just to help our loved ones get started. And it's providing variety and choice to help them get started.
So one of the things that is running through my mind as you're describing all of this is this radical openness and flexibility of mind, to me, I go, so in my experience, it was actually me as the parent that had to make those changes and steps before my child. So I had to have flexibility of mind, and I had to change what I expected being a parent was going to look like. And so um so how are you like directing the parent, um versus how do you direct the teen? Because just getting a teenager out of the house is really hard. Then PDA, and then you're like, let's go to therapy, and so you're gonna have some like tough roadblocks in that. And so, like, what are you gonna say to a parent to kind of get going, especially if they are just like completely exhausted and super discouraged?
That's a really great question because a teen is not going to change. They're not going to change their mind unless the household environment and culture changes. And a lot of the times I've heard this in previous podcasts of yours where it's like parents are coming in with an expectation of how things should go and how things should be, like, and they're getting feedback from other parents and teachers that it needs to go a certain way. And parents are terrified of either doing too much or too little. Like, I'm being too harsh, or I'm just letting the teen walk all over me. And it's that really delicate balance. But truly, truly, teens won't be able to implement radical openness and flexibility and that values work unless the parent's doing it in front of the teen's own eyes. So it's really having the parent kind of I would coach the parent how to narrate out loud the thought process. Like, hey, and for instance, teaching that trying new things and feeling embarrassed or shame is okay. So like, hey, I just dropped a bag of chips on the floor and that felt really embarrassing. And I felt afraid that you guys would judge me. But like I'm narrating that out loud. That felt really embarrassing, and right, kind of nothing bad happened, right? And now we're moving on, and we're trying something new. Same with let's go somewhere new today. Narrating out loud. Yeah, I'm really scared. Things could go wrong, and I feel the urgency to get into a fixed mindset of not wanting to go because I'm afraid. But the narrating out loud? Well, what new things can we learn here? What possibly could go right instead of just going wrong? And so teaching how parents to use these skills, but then narrating it out loud. And so how I would respond to a parent coaching them through this is very different than how I would respond to a teen. And I would ask a lot of open-ended, what we call in RODBT, we call it self-inquiry. I would practice a lot of self-inquiry questions to kind of, we call pushing someone to their edge of discomfort, of helping them question, am I in a fixed mindset right now?
So can you give us an example of some of those questions that you might use? Pretend that I'm Heather's mom and Heather is my teenager, my PDA. What are maybe some of those questions that you're going to ask us when we're in there together? Heather, you can make a sulky face if you want to just really live up that teenage.
I love that. Okay, Heather, what are you feeling in this moment? How are you
Annoyed.
feeling?
Annoyed. I don't want to be here. Stupid.
That's valid. Yeah. Feel stupid. What do you feel like is going to happen if we
it's just going to be so boring. Like this is just I just rather be at home because this is boring. And I think this is stupid.
That's fair. That's valid. Yeah, I would, if I didn't think something was going to work either, I would probably want to stay home too. What do you think is going to happen if we do go?
I'll probably just get annoyed. because there are other things I want to do.
Yeah. Do you feel like there's a part of you that feels scared to go?
Well, yeah.
Yeah. Well, can you tell me about that? What do we think is going to happen? What might happen that would be scary?
Well, the last time I was there was a horrible smell in the hall as we were, having to come to your office or the office, and I didn't like the smell. And then my mom made me put on these shoes that they were like new, and I didn't like that. I didn't like the way they felt, but I had to wear shoes because she said I had to wear shoes. So
yeah, part of you feels like you'd have the same experience.
Yeah.
You'd have some ugly sensory. You'd have to wear the shoes. That would be uncomfortable. You'd have the weird smells again.
Yeah. And my mom, she was so excited about the shoes because she got them on sale, but I'm like, just she wouldn't be quiet about it. It really annoyed me.
Yeah.
So just to like pause in here, how would you, if we're having this conversation, how would you now help the mom when I'm like, oh my gosh, you have to wear shoes when we leave the house, and I'm so worn out, and it took us 2 hours of fighting because she didn't want to wear shoes or brush her hair. So do you see the parent and the child together? Is it separate? And
well, I would say to the mom, right, we have to be open-minded about the response, and we can lower expectations. We can change the response. The expectation might be, oh, she has to wear the shoes, she has to be on time to the place, and she has to behave well. But what if, if we could just break it up into smaller tasks and be like, okay, let's just focus on putting on our sandals instead of the shoes. So maybe in the next 3 minutes, let's just focus on putting on our sandals and getting out the door.
So like giving that child then maybe more space or options and lowering the parental expectation. That's kind of...
Exactly. Yeah. You don't have to put so much pressure on the situation or yourself as a parent for having to perform. Puts much less pressure on both parties and giving more choice in the situation as well. Like, for instance, around brushing teeth, for instance, it's not maybe you don't have to do it the traditional way, and the parent doesn't have to expect doing it the same way, but what if we could provide some options? Could we do gum? Could we do a water pick? Can we just do mouthwash? And just letting that be okay, where we don't have to force it or force the situation. But giving options, too, about timing, how often, when. I know a lot of parents are concerned about like that being too soft or them not learning. And it's different if it's just purely OCD. But if it's not OCD, it's okay to kind of give more accommodation if it gets the thing done. And knowing how to prioritize what is the most important thing.
Oh, yeah, that's a big one. What would you suggest, like, I don't know, let's say 2 or 3 things that someone could take from this podcast and implement in their home, like right now, to kind of make that first step of change for someone who is exhausted, overwhelmed, maybe the parent is feeling depleted? What are like maybe just 2 or 3 like quick first steps? So it's not going to solve everything, just maybe those. What are the first steps that someone who's listening right now could maybe apply to their life, to their home?
Well, if you haven't already heard this before, and I'm sure you have, but regulation first. Emotion regulation first, or nothing's going to happen. If you're coming in hectic and afraid and anxious, the teen's going to pick up on it. They're going to shut down. Parent, it's so hard because it feels so life or death and urgent, and you feel like you're letting everybody down. You're feeling all this shame as a parent. But if we practice, and hopefully parents seeking their own therapist, feeling and accepting and letting go of that feeling of shame, and taking a pause before going into any conversation. Is there a part of me anywhere that's feeling reactive? How do I slow that down? So doing whatever you can. DBT has some great skills you can learn from, like on YouTube, but doing some deep breathing before calming the nervous system, doing something before you even engage in that conversation, and letting go of the urgency that it has to be fixed. So that's number one. And like, yeah, just getting curious about your teen's emotional experience, sharing, being vulnerable, being transparent about your own shame and fears, and, you know, narrating, like responding flexibly yourself. Also, like doing, like when you're doing the new things together, like mirroring to your loved one that you can actually create safety in a new situation, even if it's scary. So narrating out loud, what is my body posture doing? Am I avoiding eye contact? Am I shutting down? Am I isolating? And being mindful, helping parents like narrate out loud, okay, I'm going to open up. I'm going to tilt my head. I'm going to raise my eyebrows. And like activating that, what we call in RODBT, your social safety system, to create safety. And then asking open-ended questions. What did I learn here today? Questioning, did it go according to plan? Was the worst case, did it actually come true? Or was it somewhere in between?
And I'm imagining that the open-ended questions are like, it's that self-talk you were talking about, and you're not asking the PDAers those questions. You're just modeling. You're modeling the perfect.
Yeah, because the teen may shut down. But the parent is narrating out loud.
Perfect. Perfect.
Yeah, I feel like modeling like myself and my actions, like I'm super nervous right now, or even saying something to my kids like, I feel really nervous going to this place because I don't know what the parking is like. And just that's such a real fear. But I have found that when I started to actually be authentic and honest, maybe about the things that make me nervous or anxious or stuff that I kind of want to avoid, just by like announcing it to no one specifically, it sort of kind of normalizes that we don't necessarily like to do all of the things, and that's actually okay. So it's okay to make a mess. It's okay to knock something over. It's okay to be nervous to go this place. But like it's like giving permission for everyone to actually feel what they're feeling. And I think that sometimes kids don't realize that until the parent is actually like announcing it or giving permission. Like, yeah, it's okay to be nervous. And that's made a huge difference with my kids in like, yeah, maybe we're all stressed out. How are we going to help each other? And my PDAer now loves to be the one that like tries to come and calm me down, or she wants to regulate me. But I have to be honest about my experience for her to have that opportunity and for us to be able to like trade off helping each other.
And being mindful that our teens, especially if there's autism or PDA, like the emotions are not readily apparent.
Right.
The parent has to get good at understanding their own emotions to be able to communicate the emotions, and the teen have to have a regulated environment to be able to access that logical thinking.
Right. So, a lot of, I feel like we're kind of skipping ahead here, but a lot of parents are concerned with adulthood. And since you have that teen, young adult kind of crossover there, what would you say to a parent that is, they're just concerned. We get that a lot with the families that we support. Is like, well, how are they going to XYZ when they are an adult? And how would you, what would your answer be to that question? And I know it's probably like nuanced. It would just depend on but just generalities.
100%. That's just one of the major concerns, the biggest concern. Parents are up at night. What's my child's future going to look like? Will they be independent? Are they going to be relying on me forever? It's terrifying.
Yeah.
And I'd say, there's a lot of urgency and anxiety. I would say to the parent, just like, we're going to get there eventually. It may not look like how you expected. The timeline may not look like other teens, but we will get there. And it's just, we're not focusing on what other people are doing. We're focusing on what are the small concrete steps we can take right now with my teen, right? If they're not brushing teeth or showering, that's the next goal, right? And then, if they're having trouble with socializing, okay, let's get in there a little bit of pieces to add with the socializing. Maybe we do like a volunteer thing once every other week, whatever the teen is amenable to or open to, while we're practicing self-inquiry, increasing openness and flexibility. And, I've worked with parents who, they could not have imagined their teen being able to do things like showering without reminders or going once a week to a volunteer opportunity. And now I've worked with several teens who are now successful in college. A couple of years ago, that wouldn't even been on our radar. But they will get there. It will be on their own timeline.
Sure.
We will help assist. But we're slowly getting away from like the fixed things because of the sheer terror and shame to open. Actually, what can I learn here? Can I experience this new thing and get through it one small step at a time?
Right. It's something you really can't rush. You just can't rush it. And we get a lot of parents, they kind of want a definitive timeline where it's like, well, if I do this for this amount of time, then, what can I expect after we've done this for 3 months or, whatever it is. So, what, in your opinion, what does healthy progress look like?
It's completely dependent on the family and individual goals, right? If there's a PDA who won't brush their teeth, won't shower, won't leave the house, then what's functionality first? What's the most important for safety first? And so, for that PDA, it might take several months to be able to start brushing teeth. Or, maybe we, in the beginning, have to start accommodating with the shower. Maybe as the parent, we have to get the towel, or you have to start, I say we, but it's you guys are the heroes. Like turning on the faucet, so that all they have to worry about is just getting in the shower and doing the rest and getting out. We're lowering the demands so it feels more accessible. And when the confidence increases, then the expectation can slowly increase. So the timeline looks very different for each individual. But for others, it's like, okay, we're functioning, we're doing all of that. And the goal is now just to get through a first semester of college. And so we're working on, how can we get accommodations in place? How can we make sure that the reminders are set up so that they're remembering to turn in assignments or following up with professors for extra additional assistance? Each family is unique. And so that treatment plan is going to look different for everyone.
I love that. That feels encouraging. To me, it feels like hope. And, we meet a lot of people who are at the very beginning of knowing about PDA, and they're just getting started trying to figure out how to do all of this. And there can be that fear or, of the future, whatever. And so, Heather and I have both been on this PDA journey for about 6 years. And, what you're saying there, like, I remember 6 years ago and like what my daughter is doing today. And she lives a very full life and is active and, does all kinds of different things. I never would have thought she would be able to do what she does now 6 years ago. And I think that is really important to keep in mind. But also just it takes a ton of time.
And let's use those specialized interests. Like, most of our pediators, they're so creative and they're so intelligent and there's so much, like, they have to offer the world. It's about honing that and driving a path forward for them to engage in that more. So brainstorming and getting creative about, okay, this is the value. How do we incorporate that value? And assessing, is our behavior aligning with that value? Or are we too fixed or closed-minded to try to engage with that? It's kind of like small, moving the needle, small, challenging questions to help them stay open to learning new things and trying new things.
Just, I absolutely love it. I'm so thankful that there's people like you who obviously were curious enough about PDA to even learn about it. And now what you're offering families, and it is hope and encouragement, and helping parents know that they're not alone in this. There's lots of hope for the future. And so I'm incredibly grateful for the work that you're doing for the PDA community.
And I'm grateful for you too, just sharing it with the community, getting the word out there, and having a community for other parents to really lean on each other and understand and provide support. So thank you.
Yeah, we have an amazing community. Amazing. Yes. So something we've started doing as we kind of wrap up our episodes this season is some rapid fire fun questions. If you're up for it, you don't have to do it. Okay. So these are just really kind of, okay. Coffee or tea?
Coffee.
Coffee, me too. Well, let me ask you this: hot or iced?
Oh, it depends on the day. I'm gonna say iced.
Ooh, iced.
Okay. Morning person or night owl?
Oh my gosh, night owl. I will stay up all night if I didn't have work the next morning.
Isn't that funny? What's one regulation tool that you personally like, that you love?
Oh my God, just getting up and stretching.
Stretches.
Get up, change the environment, stretch, breathe, get into your body. Even in session, I'm like, we're getting up, we're stretching.
Would you say that's your favorite way to recharge too, or do you have something different to help you recharge?
It's pretty similar. Getting outside, stretching, yoga, getting out of your head, get into your body.
Yeah. Well, who is your favorite Gilmore Girls character?
I love that. It's definitely got to be Lorelai. She's hilarious. I've learned all of my quick-wittedness from her growing up with Gilmore Girls.
Last question. Luke Steiner or Dragonfly Inn?
Oh, that's so tough. Dragonfly Inn. I would live there.
I agree.
I have a confession to make. I haven't seen 1 minute of Gilmore Girls.
What?
I have not. It must be something I'm going to have to check out though.
It's one of my favorites.
Yeah.
One of my favorites. Sarah, if someone wanted to learn more about you and what you offer, how can they learn more about you or get details or something like that?
Yeah, absolutely. They can email me directly. I'll share my email with you at sarah@sarahmireles.therapy.com. You can visit my website. I have some free trainings on there. It's parentsofneurodiverseteens.com. Or they could just reach out to me on any of the websites, Psychology Today, any of those resources.
And we'll put all that information in our show notes as well.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, and I also have started a podcast too, if they're interested in learning more about that.
Awesome sauce. Fantastic. Yeah. Well, thank you so much for joining us today, Sarah. We really appreciate it.
Yes, thank you. And for anyone who wants to learn more about pathological demand avoidance profile, you can find us at journeyswithpda.com and the same name for Facebook and Instagram. We would love to connect with you and have you be a part of our community.
All right, everybody. Take care. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for listening.
Thank you. Have a great day.
Thank you.